All right, good Monday evening. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standers. We're watching a pretty strong thunderstorm pushing across the river valley right now. Severe thunderstorm warning for Sebastian County with this cell. It started over Mount Magazine. It's tracking westbound, pushing right towards the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. You know, most thunderstorms go west to east. Not in this case. We're in a very unsettled weather pattern. Storms are going east to west. So this one is pushing right over Dayton and Witcherville. It's just now left us in Washburn, getting a little bit of that rain still left over. Greenwood, we're okay, except if you live on the extreme south side of town, right towards Witcherville, Huntington, Mansfield, even getting some of that wind. Potentially with this storm, we've got wind and hail. I'm going to show you where both of those are tracking right now. But the whole storm system itself is moving westbound. So Mansfield, we're getting it now. Midland 550, Hackett 556, and we'll probably cross the state line into Oklahoma there just after 6 o'clock. So when you're looking at this couplet, you're thinking, uh-oh, red and greens together, they're rotating. Not in this case. You have green going north, you have red going south. What you just watched, this tight red and green right here, that was a downburst that took place right over Dayton. We've got some very gusty winds now right over US 71, headed towards Midland and Hackett. We're next to get some of this wind. We've had some hail too, although the hail has really weakened quite a bit as it's tracking west towards the Dayton area. We're getting our live stream ready. We want to give a couple more folks this update, so just give us one moment as we finish up these live stream parameters I have to set up just for a second. Most of us are doing okay. Most of us in the river valley are not getting this storm, but right here in the heart of Sebastian County, this is a good one. This is cooling us off, but it's also potentially pretty strong too. This one could potentially bring down some trees with some of those gusty winds of 60 miles per hour. All right, we got that all good? Okay, now we're ready to go. So what you're looking at is the warning includes most of central Sebastian County, doesn't include downtown Greenwood, but some of our houses on the south side were included. You see Fort Chaffee off towards the north. We did get clipped with some hail on the south end of Fort Chaffee, which goes about to here, and we had some of that hail tracking over us. But this little pocket you see pushing westbound. The dark blue showed you some of that golf ball sized hail that we had on the east side of Dayton, some just south of some of these ridges here. That's moving west-southwest. Right over Dayton is where we had some of that hail, but it looks like it's starting to weaken a little bit in terms of that hail pocket. That storm is also weakening itself too. You can see that on the downburst potential. This is showing you your winds. You've got green going north, you've got red going south. This is not necessarily a rotating storm. This is a separating storm. What you're seeing right here is almost a wind bomb being dropped in central Sebastian County. Bomb goes down and then explodes in all directions. So you're watching wind go north and wind go south. That pocket of damaging winds has now just cleared us in Dayton and in Witcherville. Witcherville is right along 71. Midland, we're next as we get closer to this storm as it's approaching just from the west. Move a couple things here. Let's go back a couple frames. This is a wide view of 5 country. We're fine in northwest Arkansas, nothing going on. But in the river valley, we're continuing to watch these cells. In fact, we've got more cells that are bubbling up. Maybe some hail forming just next to the Piney Bay campground, just east of Clarksville. We'll watch these cells too. But right now, the strongest storm is in Sebastian County. It is weakening just a little bit. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this storm. Take a closer look at it. We've got another cell over us near Poto, especially on the south side. They're just south of Ron's Lumber and south of the county fairgrounds. Here's even a closer look. This is taking all of Sebastian County. So you see we're right over Witcherville and Dayton, pushing west. Midland, we're next. And then this thing is, I believe that's Sugarloaf. Yeah, headed right towards Sugarloaf. So Hartford, Hill, Midland, Slaytonville, Frogtown, West Hartford too. This thing's coming right towards Sugarloaf. So Poto's over off in that direction. You see Sugarloaf. It's one of the better, not better, it's probably not the right word, but most symmetrically oriented mountains that we have, pretty much perfectly sloped on each side. But this is where we're coming. We're coming straight in from the west. That storm just blew over US 71. We're still getting the rain, but what we're trying to track more is not necessarily exactly where the rain is, but where we have that gust of wind. And if you look back, you see that green arc that's pushing across. I know we've got several scans going in and it's moving, but we kind of have a band of green right here. That's that rain-cooled air that's gusting out of this storm that we really had a huge drop with that wind over Mansfield and in Dayton. So this thing continues to move westbound, getting close to the state line here within the next 20-30 minutes or so. This is taking a look at the wind still. We're definitely weakening on our winds, but you see that separation that rain-cooled air going out in all directions. Where it was bright is where we potentially could have some wind damage right near the Dayton area. That's also where we had that possible spin-up tornado that we had a couple weeks ago, kind of going right down Dayton Road. But that's where we had some of that wind just south of Greenwood. We still got some of that wind in Greenwood. You probably felt a huge, nice gust of wind to try to cool you off, but that heart of the storm was just towards our south. Mansfield, we've gotten the wind too, coming right over 71, right where you've got the big curve there. You got wind just pushing across the west side of Mansfield, headed right into Midland and Hackett. So we're next. This tornado, or this storm does not have a tornado threat. You do see reds and greens together, but this time they're going separate. They're not rotating. They're pushing out separately as they push towards Midland right now. This is a closer look at the hail. The hail track continues to weaken too. That's some good news. We had a little bit of hail over Dayton, but it looks like the heart of that hail was back off towards the east, right over Milton. Milton, Washburn, we had some good hail for us. Barber probably even got clipped with some of this hail, but anywhere between Washburn and Barber going up the old Highway 10 is where we had that hail. Here's a wide view of hail too. We're going to watch these storms that are just east of Clarksville. We've got a couple cells trying to fire up, some lightning getting loud as you just pass eastbound into Pope County. We're going to be watching these. We'll see if they continue to grow or not. They're on the southern fringes of the Boston Mountains. We'll keep an eye on Knoxville, Lamar, and Clarksville. What most likely would happen with these storms is every storm's been sinking off towards the south and the west. The whole storm system's throwing storms westbound, but a lot of times they start sagging south to eat more of that warmth and humidity coming from the Gulf. So you kind of have this southwest orientation as they push towards Knoxville. So we'll watch those closely for you guys. Here's a closer look at maybe the wind, a little bit of wind on those. And then here's just taking a look at the radar. You've got these cells that are closing in around Russellville and Dover. You can see how they're moving southwest. So they want to go west, but then they also have to push into some of the heat that's farther south. We've got a couple more pop-ups over the Boston Mountains. Those could try to impact us right near the White Rock recreational area. We've got a flare-up over West Fork. We've got a couple more just towards our north of McDonald County, and then northern Johnson County, a couple more flare-ups. We'll have to watch. If you live close to the Strawberry Bluffs, we could get a couple downpours too as these continue to track in. This is one more look, and then we got to get ready for our 5 News at 6. The severe threat on this storm has definitely weakened. We're getting some wind out of it for sure. This is a pretty nasty storm, but also, if you look, there's not a lot of lightning with it anymore. That's an indication the storm's weakening. You had a lot of the lightning right in between Logan County and Sebastian County, right there from Washburn to Milton. Mansfield, we had a little bit of that thunder and lightning. It was worse just towards our east, but that's a sign the storm is collapsing. Boy, did it pack a punch there for a moment. So we'll continue to watch these storms. A lot of times this time of year, storms flare up in a big way. They can produce a lot of wind and some hail, but it's harder for them to stay sustained. They usually kind of pack a punch and then they go home. So we're watching that. It is weakening, but it's a pretty good downpour over Sebastian County. We'll continue to watch just across all of 5 country more of these flare-ups as they try to use some of the heat and humidity that we built throughout the day. It'd be nice to get a good downpour. It's not nice to get a big wind gust that knocks down a tree. We had a lot of those this weekend, but hopefully you get a little bit of rain to try to cool you off. But the majority of the storms are in the River Valley, and just a quick heads up for tomorrow, we'll probably talk more about this tonight at 6 o'clock here in the newscast in 15 minutes or so. I think the bigger storm chances will be in the River Valley tomorrow once again. So very similar to what we're seeing on the radar today is what we're going to see tomorrow. But we'll take a closer look at more days that could have some potentially stormy weather for us. Hopefully cool you off, and hopefully they're not too stormy. Maybe they're just a little bit rainy. We'll continue to track this storm for you. It is weakening though over Sebastian County, pushing west towards Oklahoma. Just downstream, Podo, we could get some of the remnants of this one, but right now it's not producing as much hail, and the wind is definitely lower. It is still windy, but the damaging wind threat has definitely gone down. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised.